following is an exclusive presentation of News Radio KMAN, your home for K-State athletics. It's game time. This is The Game on News Radio KMAN.
I made some bad decisions last night as trying to catch up on the Amazing Race, and I almost got all the way caught up. And then it's like 10 o'clock or something like that. Lindsay and I are just laying there, and we're like, what do we want to watch? I mean, I'm supposed to be getting up early because I'm filling in for Troy. And I'm like, you know what? Let's watch the Tom Brady roast. And I couldn't turn it off. And I wish I would have got more sleep. My fault. I just wish I was fresh coming in today's show, because this is one of those, man, it'd be way too easy to pile on Iowa State today.
That's true. Did you make it here on time at least?
I did.
I mean, there you go. I mean,
the alarm went off at 4 a.m.
Goodness. No wonder Troy goes to bed so early. You're getting a little taste of that life.
Well, I'm doing double duty.
Yeah, it's true.
Planning for the morning show, then doing the morning show, then planning, because I always do.
Playing for our show.
This is my, I always plan it by myself typically, and then and that's a lot of work to plan a 2-hour show, and then doing the show. It's a lot of hours. A lot happening, but
it is.
It is show number 4 of 15 without Troy Coverdale, who is, I think he's officially made it to Tampa, Florida. If not, he's getting close.
Yeah, it's like he's got to be coming up on it here while we're on the air, I would assume.
But also, we're going to do our weekly Are the Royals Doing Okay segment without Troy. Owen is a big baseball fan. It's like, Owen, you want to take on this task? And he says, it would be my pleasure, boss.
It would be an honor. I think that's the best way of putting it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fill the shoes, but I'm dang sure going to stuff as many socks in there as try as hard as I can. So,
well, we are going to have K-State Athletics Director Gene Taylor on in the second hour. He'll join us at 5:25 as we are going to, of course, dig a lot into the Ireland game, how it came about, a lot of details about that contest a year from August.
You think he's going to dunk on Iowa State at all today with the comments that I've seen?
Maybe I'll tee it up for him.
Yeah, we might have to try to put a little wager down over under 2.5 Iowa State dunks while he's on with
I'll
us.
toss him a softball like, did you understand the reference? Of course,
Yeah.
He's a smart guy.
He is.
And the best idea in the nation. And so I'm sure he absolutely did. I suppose that's where we can start. I spent way too much time on this today, just kind of reading comments, and because, man, this snowball on Iowa State, to me, it's just a funny story. All right, so just in case you're completely unaware of what is taking place today, it's funny. There's a lot of jokes in here. But it started out with Life in Football podcast. No offense to them, but I'd never heard of it. They released their top 5 quarterbacks in the Big 12. And from top to bottom it goes Shedeur Sanders of Colorado, Rocco Becht of Iowa State, Noah Fafita of Arizona, KJ Jefferson of UCF, and Alan Bowman of Oklahoma State.
Seems to be a guy missing off there, huh?
Well, running backs coach Brian Anderson of K-State thought that same thing. And he responded to that tweet with, quote, "Ha number 2. And for the young folks out there, it's not NO.2, it's the hashtag and then a number 2, which, and you're probably not old enough to remember when that meant a number sign.
Yeah, the old pound sign. I've heard of it as referred to as such. It's definitely been a long time, but
first of all, it's a terrible list. I'm sorry, Life and Football podcast, and they also didn't number the list. It's just names listed, which you typically assume. You go from top to bottom. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But anyway, Coach BA responds to that, which this is, not uncommon for BA. He's sticking up for his boys, sticking up for his guys on offense. Avery Johnson now wears number 2. He has done this many times for DJ Giddens. Number 31.
Yep.
Dresses the guys as by their numbers. That's what coaches do. So the interesting twist here is that there's a former Iowa State player that saw this. And to me, it was a knee-jerk reaction and to where the opinion is that what BA was doing is trying to trash Rocco Becht because he said, number 2, and number 2 on that list was Rocco Becht.
Yeah.
So it was Grant Mahoney who used to kick at Iowa State. We'll get to him more here in just a second.
Oh, I can't wait.
But he responded with, quote, he quoted the tweet and said, "Not a good look from a coach of an opposing team. What's with coaches recently thinking they can openly disrespect young men?" That's not what K-State is doing.
Not at all.
That's not what BA was doing.
Not at all.
We didn't think about this long enough, Grant.
Yep.
Avery Johnson wears number 2.
Mm-hmm.
He did wear that number in the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if Iowa State invested some more spies in football, you may have been more aware. That's just your run-of-the-mill Iowa State spy joke there,
Yep.
Owen. But back to Grant Mahoney, unless you're like really smart and you have phenomenal memory of Iowa State football, that's probably a name you don't remember. But allow me to refresh your memory of Grant Mahoney, a former kicker at Iowa State.
This is Mahoney for the tie. And it's blocked! It's blocked! Kansas State blocked it!
Maybe from just hearing the broadcast, you may not exactly remember that game, but if you saw the highlight, you would know exactly what game that was.
Yep.
2009, Farmageddon, Arrowhead Stadium, Cats clones, Emmanuel Lemire blocks the extra point after Iowa State got a real lucky touchdown, a pass that was tipped, and then a Cyclone goes diving for it and makes it. Really was a great play. Certainly some luck involved, but that play also took place in a 7-point game with less than 40 seconds to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember Iowa State. I don't think they were I don't think they were in the red zone. So it was a nice lob to the end zone. I don't remember who the quarterback for Iowa State was back then. Let me think for a second. It's not clicking. I'm not quick enough here. Like I said, I'm like asleep. You know what I mean?
Trying to pull it up here for you.
But anyway, he's the kicker that got the kick blocked.
Austin Arnaud, is that a name?
Oh,
that
yeah.
rings a bell for you?
Okay. Yeah, it does.
There you go.
It does. A 59% field goal kicker, by the way.
Ugh. Yikes.
So then here's the next step. Here's where it gets even more interesting. So I think Iowa State fans were going to bat for Grant Mahoney. K-State Twitter will show no mercy.
Not at all. They never do.
K-State Twitter, K-State social media is no doubt about it one of the toughest fan bases out there on the medias.
Yeah, they will rip into you. They will not hesitate.
Iowa State never stands a chance.
No, not a shot.
But Iowa State, the official account from Iowa State football got involved, and they just posted a video. And to me, this is a lack of awareness because, again, plenty of K-State fans were just responding with, hey, listen, he wasn't going after Rocco Becht. He was just making reference of Avery Johnson being left on the list. And obviously stating that Avery should be on the list. I think Avery would be on a lot of people's list of top 5 quarterbacks.
He should be.
But he wasn't on that particular list. So here comes Iowa State football's official account on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And it was from last year's snow game, Senior Day at the Bill.
Of course.
And it's the touchdown of Rocco Becht, the shortest touchdown of the day, I think, for Iowa State, when he threw a 33-yard touchdown to Jaden Higgins to tie the game. And to me, that was lack of awareness because I thought we had already cleared it up. I was also late to the party. I didn't realize what was going on until I just saw a lot of comments of people I follow was responding to a whole bunch of tweets explaining and backing up BA on what he was trying to do. And Iowa State fans would, of course, they're backing up their former kicker. So it's fan base against fan base once again. But Iowa State, this is making me worry a little bit. We got an election coming up, and you're falling for disinformation like that? The town motto in Ames, Iowa is smart choice. A smart choice would have to never tweet out that video
Yeah,
because it looks silly now.
it does.
Did I mention Avery did wear number 2 in the Pop-Tarts Bowl?
You did mention that.
I mean, do we remember that the Pop-Tarts Bowl had pretty high ratings?
Or wasn't it the highest rated, wasn't the highest watched college football bowl game that wasn't a playoff game?
I'm sure. Well, K-State was playing.
was
Avery
up there.
Johnson was playing. I'm sure it was the highest rated college football bowl game other than the college football playoff. Had to be.
I'm pretty sure it was. I thought I remember reading that stat afterwards.
Well, and don't forget, you also had the live Pop-Tart, the mascot, which,
Yeah,
not going to lie, kind of stole the show.
obviously. I don't know. Did he steal a show or did Cooper Beebe steal a show? Eating them afterwards.
So
That's
I was right there next to the old toaster. Here comes the Pop-Tart sliding out of the old chute. I can't remember what the sign said. But anyway, lowers down, gets fried, comes out the chute, and it was because Avery was the MVP. Mm-hmm. And there's also Chris Kleiman. They got to dig in first, and here come the other boys. Where Cooper stole the show was the post-game press conference, and he shows up shirtless. And
yeah.
his chest is all red like guys had been chopping him as soon as he popped that top.
Great.
And it's like Iowa State stuff. Always comes in twos. The number 2 just,
Yeah.
it's almost like a coincidence. Every time Brock Purdy made a mistake, there was always another one to follow. Those always came in twos. Conference championships for Iowa State comes in twos. 1911, 1912, and just unfortunately for them, they haven't won one since 1912, the year the Titanic sank.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago, folks.
That was a while ago. I want to talk about this list more. This top 5 quarterbacks list because
Go ahead.
I think they got some things right. Like I'm okay with Jalen Daniels not being there. Like it's hard to put him up there with the lack of playing time, but also like how is Cam Rising not here? What list do you have of top 5 Big 12 quarterbacks that does not have Cam Rising in it?
I'm fine with Shadur Sanders. I'm fine with Noah Fafita. He's Arizona.
Yep.
I'm fine with KJ Jefferson. I'll listen to the argument. UCF. Alan Bowman is not a top 5 quarterback in the Big 12.
I would agree. Would you take Jalen Daniels over him, even with the potential of a 4-game season? You're like, Jalen Daniels may only play 4 games.
Hold on a second. Let's back it up here. Let's make sure we get this right. Are you saying would I take either Alan Bowman or Jalen Daniels, like just how they are as quarterbacks, as in I'm playing them a full season?
Yeah, I'll ask both. So no injuries, and you could take him either or, but there is a chance that Jalen Daniels does his normal routine and only plays 4 games this season. Would you take him even if not even?
Would I take him over the risk with the risk of injury over Bowman?
That's a tough one. I think no injuries. It's obvious I would take Daniels over Bowman.
I think, because Bowman can be a dual threat, I guess, type of guy, but Jalen Daniels is obviously more of a dual threat guy. Don't like the risk of being injury prone, I guess, and missing a huge chunk of seasons. He missed, 9 games this past year or something like that? Maybe 10? I think it was 10, because counting the bowl game.
Yeah, he played 3. Just played 3 last year, and then he played 8 the year before.
Alan Bowman can also make mistakes, and he threw a lot of interceptions last year. Also, something to point out about Oklahoma State. I thought, like Brendan Presley, I can't remember, there was an Owens kid. I don't remember his first name. They were pretty good with yards after catch and breaking tackles. I mean, Ollie Gordon was super solid at breaking tackles. Maybe helped pad some of the stats, make him look a little bit better. This may be crazy. I think I'm going Jalen Daniels.
I don't think it's crazy to say. So yeah, there's definitely some things wrong with this list, and I think the not putting Cam Rising and Avery Johnson is a big whiff.
Rocco Becht was a freshman All-American.
True.
I'll give him that.
True. If he's here, he's got to be 5. Like I don't know if he's better than 4 other quarterbacks. Like I'd take Shadur, I'd take Rising, I'd probably take Jefferson, and I personally would take Avery Johnson. I'm okay if you don't want to, if you're an Iowa State guy and you want to go there, but he's definitely not the second best. There's no planet where Rocco Becht is the second best quarterback in the Big 12. It's just not a thing.
You know what? A lot of feelings were hurt with this top 5 quarterback list. We talked a lot about quarterbacks this week. I'm going to put together a top 15.
Ooh, on the fly. I like that.
It's not on the fly. I've actually already done it.
Okay.
But we can talk about it a little bit later on.
All right.
Because, a lot less of a chance of feelings getting hurt if you just do a top 15. There's 16 teams. Maybe, there's going to be a guy left off, a couple maybe. But I don't know. We'll do a top 15, get some reaction a little bit later on. Hour number 2 will feature K-State Athletics Director Gene Taylor joining us at 5:25. I'm going to let Owen take over for a little bit on our next segment because it's our weekly discussion, and we'll ask the big question. Are the Royals doing okay? We'll get Owen's answer coming up next on the game. Hour 1 of the game continues. Mitch Fortner and Owen Burke. Got a short show tomorrow. We're on for only just an hour, 4 to 5, as K-State baseball will open up a 3-game series in Morgantown, West Virginia, as they will face the Mountaineers, who are currently 4th in the Big 12. 5:30 for the first pitch here on News Radio K-Man. Royals baseball tonight. They open up a 3-game series against the Anaheim Angels. What did I say? Four-game series. I'm sorry. 4-game series tonight. And first pitch at 8:38 and pregame at 8 o'clock.
How about that?
From the Royals Radio Network, the Royals are 22-16, just won a series against the Brewers, 2-1. And the Royals are now 2.5 games back in the AL Central behind Cleveland and Minnesota. It is that time of the week. Troy not here, so Owen's going to take over this duty for right now. So, Owen, I'm going to ask you the question, and I think it's a fair one with the recent history of the Royals. We're just hoping the Royals can do okay this year. So I'm going to ask the question, Owen, are the Royals doing okay?
I would say by Royals standards, they're doing pretty well for being, about half or, early part of May here. They've definitely scuffled a little bit. They lost 2 or 3 to the Rangers the series before the Brewers. Again, by their expectations, I think they're having a pretty solid season so far. A lot of young talents coming through. They actually spent money this offseason, bringing in guys like Michael Wacha, Seth Lugo, Hunter Renfroe. All have had pretty solid years to start. This series against the Angels is going to be pretty telling to me. The Angels have struggled. Mike Trout's injured again. So this team is kind of floundering themselves here, and the AL West as a whole is floundering. So these are the series to me where you kind of see what a team is made of. The Royals really should, I don't know if they should sweep the Angels. They definitely should win 3 of 4 in my opinion. So, and tonight's game is probably your key indicator. Michael Wacha has struggled a bit. His ERA is just over 5, and the Angels are throwing Reed Detmers, who has been pretty solid to start the year, and a lefty. So I think you're going to tell a lot about what this team's going to be the rest of the season from this 4-game stint on the road away from the K. They've played really well at home so far this season. They've kind of scuffled here a bit on the road, but good starter tonight. You're going up against Detmers. Can Michael Wacha keep you in the game long enough? And their offense has been kind of stagnant. Like the Brewers games, the last Brewer, they kind of popped off. The game before, they scuffled, and then 2 games before they won because Seth Lugo has been an absolute animal on the mound, a sub-2 ERA. So you're going to tell a lot about what this team's going to be here in these 4 games. But the captain's leading the way. Bobby Witt Jr. scored more runs in the AL than any player, I think by like 6. He scored like 31 runs so far through this part of the season. I think the next closest guy, I know Gunnar Henderson was in the top 3, but the next closest guy is like 24 runs scored. So he is getting around the bases early and often. So by KC standards, yes, they're doing good. By everyone's standards, I think they're doing pretty okay. You're holding 3rd in the AL Central, which in most years is not a good spot to be because you're probably 5-10 games under 500 in the AL Central, but they are 6 games above 500, and I think they're sitting pretty well so far from what I'm looking at.
I know the bullpen has been pretty up and down. I was glad to see James MacArthur get that save. Yesterday after he blew the last 2, and now I believe he has 8 on the year, and that's good to see. And clearly starting pitching has been well documented and have some of the most quality starts in Major League Baseball.
Yep.
The ERA is super good. You mentioned Seth Lugo. He's been dominant.
Yeah, he's been an animal.
I mean, I think he has 7 quality starts so far
Absolutely
this year.
It's insane. It's insane what he's done. And I remember when they signed him last year, he's coming off a year with the Mets where he kind of struggled. His ERA was, I think it's about 5.5, which is where Walk is at. And I just remember, man, if this guy could just keep the ball in the park. He was just struggling so much giving up home runs. And he's not given up a lot of bombs. The ones he's given up have been solo shots, and he has just been nails for KC so far. And Brady Singer's kind of bouncing back. He hasn't really returned to the form of 2 years ago, but he's not struggling as much as he was last year. And I think a lot of that has to do with not only having those vets around who are also playing really well right now, but also just there's not so much expectations now for Brady Singer. He's not the 25, 26-year-old, hey, you're the ace. And not only you're the ace, you're really the only reliable arm we have, right? If you have a bad game, we stand no chance to win a series. So a lot of things are going right for the Royals right now. They're still looking for some guys to kind of, Michael Massey has started a little bit slower. He's missed the games with injuries. So, but they're getting there. And this is exactly what you want to see. What I want to see from this team going forward is add to the bullpen. Like, I'm not saying there's no move that they can make this year where they're a World Series contender, but make some additions. Go get the 28, 29-year-old. I don't know if Cleveland would be okay with trading James Karinchak, especially in division. That's a guy I like a lot. I'm waiting for somebody to trade for Mason Miller from Oakland because he is an absolute animal. If you haven't looked into Mason Miller's numbers for the Athletics, he is probably the best closer in baseball right now. I'm waiting for a contender to come snap him up, but he's young. That's a guy that I would love for the Royals to go get. Now, the asking price for him, I don't know what it's going to be. It is a closer, but at the same time, again, he is young and he is a stud. So you need some additions in the bullpen, but the starting pitching has kept them in games. Right now, the offense is really only asked to score probably about 5-6 runs. You're going to get a win most nights, which is pretty solid, especially for KC's expectations. Well,
the Royals are 7-8 on the road. The Angels at home are 4-11, though they've won 2 in a row. The Angels are 14-23. Seth Lugo is 34 years old.
Yeah,
and he's off to maybe his best start in his career.
Yeah, without looking at the numbers, I would say it probably is.
And he's made 8 starts. 7 of them have been quality. The only one was against your Baltimore Orioles.
That was actually the game I went to,
which was a 5-0 loss, and he went 5 1/3 and gave up 4 earned on 9 hits. Outside of that, he's gone at least 6.
Yeah,
every time. He has been my favorite player from the pitching. When it comes to the offense, I continue to gravitate towards Salvador Perez. Speaking of 34 years old, Salvi turns 34 tomorrow. And I wonder, because of how solid the starting pitching has been, doing a great job with the pitch count, getting through innings quickly, should we consider that maybe not being as taxing on Salvi as a catcher and potentially benefiting his offense? Salvi just came off a month of April and into May with some of his best numbers to start a season, ever. And right now, Salvi, so far this year, is hitting .326. Of course, that's going to calibrate. That'll start to fall a little bit as the season goes on, but he has started really hot. His on-base percentage is .387. He's getting on base. His strikeout rate is significantly less than it has been in recent years. His whiff rate is much lower. Him framing up the bat, getting a barrel on the ball, has been at a much better rate. Getting contact.
His defense has been so much better. There was 2 years ago where 2 years ago or last year, you could make the argument that he was one of the worst defensive catchers in baseball. And he's not the best by any stretch, but he's nowhere near the bottom of the league right now.
But I remember, that's funny you say that, because I remember during the World Series run or around that time, 14, 15, 16, where you would say Salvi was potentially the best defensive catcher out there
100%.
In baseball, with getting guys at second base or catching a guy off first and third, and he would slam it over there after a pitch and get the guy off the bag. He did it all the time. That was a consistent highlight for Salvi during that crazy run that Kansas City had for a couple of years.
Yeah, and I remember being in college, and this is probably 2018, I want to say, because I don't think it was my freshman year, and we did a little road trip up to KC. We got to tour all the suites. We got to see all the trophies and everything, and we got to ask. I think it was Ned Yost was the manager still at the time, so we got to interview him a little bit, his sports media students and everything. And my buddy had asked him if they were thinking about moving Salvi to first base at all because the defense had kind of waned a little bit, and also for a guy that has that talented of a bat, you want his career to last as long as possible. And catchers do not have historically long careers. And Ed Yost kind of laughed at him, and I thought that it was a pretty valid question at the time. And now we're sitting here 6 years later, and it does look like a dumb question because he is red hot right now. And about the only thing that he's not leading the Royals in right now, Bobby Witt is just hitting literally .001 better than him, and he has just a couple more hits. Other than that, he's leading the team in almost every hitting stat so far. And I think his defense is also a very large part of what the pitching staff has been able to do so far this year. The consistency at the backstop position has been crucial for them to start the year.
Bobby Witt Jr. and Salvador Perez each hitting over 320. You have Michael Massey at 281 and Nick Lofton, who certainly doesn't play often, once in a while is hitting 276. Everybody else under 250. But I've liked what I've seen recently from Vinny Pasquantino, who kind of had a lull there for a while for about 10 games and wasn't hitting.
Yeah, and he's leading the league in sacrifice flies right now, which, obviously it's not the best stat in the world. It isn't out, but you're scoring guys. You're moving guys over. You're just keeping the line moving. That can be a very beneficial thing for your team.
He's second on the team along with Michael Garcia in RBI, but of course, who's leading in RBI? My boy Salvador Perez
Salvador.
With 31. Mm-hmm. All right, let's take a timeout. Still to come in hour number 2, we'll have Gene Taylor, K-State Athletics Director, on at 5:25. We're going to talk a lot, of course, about the game that was scheduled a few weeks ago, K-State Iowa State in Ireland in August of 2025. We'll have more of hour 1 coming up next. Well, we got some breaking news.
Oh, do tell.
For K-State men's basketball, looks like they have picked up a commitment out of the transfer portal.
I'm hoping for a name here.
Well, it was a name that I did not know about.
Oh, well, if you didn't know about it, I dang sure didn't know about it. So, who we got? Who's coming to town?
So, it looks like he'll have 1 year of eligibility. I beg your pardon, because I just now have been trying to look at his information and try to learn as much as I can in this short amount of time for this commercial break that we just had. But his name is Max Jones. He is from Clearwater, Florida, just played a couple of seasons at Cal State Fullerton. He was a former Titan for a couple of seasons. And according to On3, in the industry comparison, the national ranking in the transfer portal is 355. Rivals has him high as 202 and a 4-star. Let's see here. So again, I beg your pardon, I just now started to look at numbers here. So over his 2 seasons at Cal State Fullerton, averaged 14 points a game, 14 points, 3.5 rebounds, 2 assists, and a couple of steals a contest in about 30 minutes a game. He was a consistent starter. At Fullerton, he started in 53 games, 30 minutes a contest. I like this consistency in the guys they've been adding. For his 2 years at Fullerton, he shot 39% from 3.
Heck yeah. Bring me the shooters.
So the Cats adding another guard, and again, this feels like it's getting very Baylory around here with the stacked depth in guards that are being added. 6'4", I'm sure he could play that 3 position, play more potentially more of a wing position. But we'll see. Yeah, again, I'm still just kind of looking around. I apologize again. I'm just now learning about this, unless I've been living under a rock and other people have known about this. But so I want to give a shout out to Drew Galloway from K-State Online that has already put an article up about Max Jones. It's very quick work by our friends at On3. Notice this past season, I was looking at his game log from this past season. His best game was 30 points at Nebraska. Nebraska was an NCAA tournament team, embarrassed the Cats in Manhattan. This past year, he was 5 of 7 from 3, 10 of 19 from the floor.
If you have it, you said 39% from downtown. How many threes a game are we talking on that 39%? Do you get that?
Let me go back and look.
See if you have that readily available.
So he would attempt 3.5 threes a contest, 4.5 last season.
Okay, I could take that. That's not bad.
So he was definitely shooting more from the field. Let me, again, I'm just kind of looking around here, trying to find as much information I can in a short amount of time. So this past season, he shot 109 threes and made 42 for 38.5%. 39.5% 2 seasons ago, he made 34 threes. It does appear inside the arc, maybe not the best scorer. At least the percentages are almost the same from 2-point range and 3-point range this past season. Because from the field, he shot 38.3% last year. From 3, he was 38.5%.
Okay.
So, barely slightly less, a smaller percentage from 2 this past season. This is certainly exciting. K-State needed to get some momentum once again in the portal. And maybe not necessarily, the position, because they're still obviously looking for a starter that can come in and start for you every day, be that athletic 5 type, maybe more of a stretch 4 that can play outside the arc, have some range. They still don't have that guy yet. And I know they have guys on the they've had discussions. I don't know how strong they are, and these guys like T.J. Toppin from New Mexico State, who I'm a big fan of. I think he could be a great fit for K-State. Add a little length to the lineup for next year. That would be a great guy to go pick up, but I'm just not aware right now of how strong that bond is right now. But I will say, these things can come out of nowhere, and it feels like this commitment did just come out of nowhere. I had not even heard this name yet until he popped up as a commitment according to On3. So it must have been a pretty silent thing, but
yeah, it's not a bad thing. You can't add nothing but starters. You need to have those bench pieces. You need to have that depth. So
well, yeah, this is certainly a guy that's going to play, I would imagine, quite a few minutes. You know, makes things more interesting, of course, in the backcourt and how that'll all shape up. But heck, 15 points a game and you're shooting 39% from 3. Kind of take it.
Yeah, probably crack the starting lineup a couple times here and there, and if it gets hot, ride the hot hand. That's the beauty of having guys that have a lot of experience starting and having that in your backcourt as far as depth goes. Is if he's hot and he's shooting 45% in the last 3 games, well, let's get him some more run then.
And I was supposed, maybe it's C.J. Jones. You may slot in that kind of small forward.
Yeah.
Spot, and again, they're just spots on the floor, as Coach Tang has said. He can maybe play that 3, and Max Jones might be more of a 2, more of the shooting guard type. He definitely is a shooting guard type. I would assume that's what he was labeled as at Fullerton.
Because CJ's 6'5", right? Is that right? I want to say he's 6'5".
Yeah, I want to say 6'5". Again, a lot happening right now, but
how about that? I'm not going to turn down a random commitment. Bring him on.
Yeah, 6'5". So.
Going to try to get him on the show next week?
Of course.
Obviously. Why wouldn't we?
Let him do what he's got to do with his stuff at K-State if he's, getting enrolled and all that stuff and officially becoming Cat, signing on. K-State hasn't announced anything yet. Heck, the article from Drew Galloway is the first I saw anything pop up. But it's definitely more of a perimeter shooter. Again, K-State really stacking it up with the 3-point shooters in the backcourt, and he's also a good free throw shooter, about 79%.
Heck
so you'll take that.
100%.
Played 2 seasons at Tampa. That was a D2 school.
Okay.
Let me continue to look at this here. Let's see. I lost my spot. Okay. Where am I at? So while I'm looking, I will tell you this is the 5th commitment for K-State. He joins Doug McDaniel, C.J. Jones, Brendan Housen, all backcourt guys. Bay Fall, who will be a depth piece at the 5. Let's see here. So it looks like at Tampa, he averaged about 19.5 points per game, would shoot about 40% from the field. So 2 seasons at Tampa and then a couple of seasons at Cal State Fullerton. I'll read more about him, see if I can bring you a little bit more at 5'10" before I do a top 15 Big 12 quarterbacks list, because I'm, too many feelings getting hurt earlier today after that list came out. Had Rocco Becht, and then BA didn't like, thought Avery Johnson was being disrespected, and Iowa State fans took it as a hate towards Rocco Becht, which it wasn't whatsoever. But the Cats looks like they have landed commitment number 5. Shooting guard Max Jones, 6'4", out of Clearwater, Florida, who can shoot the 3 just like a whole lot of these other guys that are coming in for K-State in this recruiting class. We'll finish hour 1 of the game next. Well, we are about to lock those doors up front. That means if you haven't filled out your paperwork, if you became an instant finalist for Passport to Cabo, your time has ran out. We are officially giving away Passport to Cabo, brought to you by BriggsAuto.com, an all-expense paid trip, 7-night stay at a beachfront condo in Cabo, San Lucas, Mexico. We're going to be giving that away tomorrow at Briggs Auto Lane off Fort Riley Boulevard. We're going to be out there from 3 to 6. And if you're not an instant finalist, still come out and hang out with us. There's going to be food trucks. There's going to be a lot of ice cream to enjoy. And we're also giving away a whole bunch of prizes, and you don't have to be an instant finalist to win. You just have to be there. So come join the party as somebody's life is about to change and somebody's about to start vacationing like Jerome Tang in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. All right, hour 2 of the game, where I'm going to give you my top 15 quarterbacks in the Big 12. We'll get more on Max Jones, the basketball commitment from Cal State Fullerton.